Know that Boo's name in Monsters Inc. isn't Boo? Her real name is Mary, as shown briefly in one of the crayon drawings she shows Sully in the scene where Boo goes to sleep in Sully's bed. Have you ever stopped to think why when a monster comes into contact with a sock in the film, the others shout the code 2319? If you pay attention to the numbers and the alphabet, you will remember that the 23rd letter of the alphabet is W and the 19th is S, which means that the code actually stands for WS, White Sock. Another detail that you probably didn't realize is that Monsters Inc. and Toy Story take place in the same universe. That's because if you pay attention to the end of the film, we can see the Jessie doll on the table and then being handed over to Sully. After that, when Randall is camouflaging himself in wallpaper, we can see a slightly different wallpaper with clouds. If you have a good memory, you must remember that this is the same wallpaper as Andy's room in Toy Story. But the Easter eggs that indicate that they are from the same universe don't stop there, because after this monster runs out of a screaming child's room, you can see a poster of Paul Bunyan on the wall. In Toy Story, Sid has the exact same poster. In one of the Toy Story shorts, Partosaurus Rex, we can see a toilet seat that strangely looks like Sully's fur. Have you already noticed that there are different sized cups for different sized monsters? We can see small and medium cups to giant cups on the table. Furthermore, in this same scene we can see the villain supposedly drinking a coffee. But you may have already noticed that monsters have a different diet than humans. But there is one thing in this film that I just can't get over. What's the deal with their coffee? It's a bit thick and pasty, so to speak. I highly doubt this is coffee. Elsewhere in the film, you can see the red unicycle from the Pixar short Red's Dream, which was Pixar's second computer animated short. Did you notice that at the end of the film, when Randall ends up in a trailer and is beaten by a couple, we can see the Pizza Planet car right next to it? Furthermore, perhaps the universe of A Bug's Life is interconnected with Monsters Inc. because in one scene of the film, we can see exactly the same trailer that appears in Monsters Inc. and the car from Pizza Planet is still there. Did you notice that in Inside Out, the film always showed us how important the character of sadness was? You may remember that the film ends with the acceptance that sadness is an important part of life. But if you pay attention, all emotions have colors that make them stand out from each other. For example, anger is red, sadness is blue, fear is purple, and disgust is green. The only exception is Joy, who not only has blue hair, but also a strong blue glow exuding from her. This essentially means that Joy was always slightly tinged with sadness, which very well suggests what would happen at the end of the film. Another detail involving the characters is that they all embody their respective feelings, not only through voice and action, but also in their design. Anger looks irritated, fear looks fearful, and so on. But it turns out there's even more to it than you might expect. If you pay attention, they are all based on very specific shapes or objects. Anger is a brick of fire, fear is a nerve, joy is a star, and sadness is a tear. And yes, disgust is actually broccoli, one of Riley's most hated foods. Did you notice that in the long-term memory banks of Riley's mind, there is a Princess Dream world that has a castle that is turned into confetti and glitter by a wrecking ball? But if you pay attention, this castle looks a lot like the famous Disney castle. The giant legs of Monsters Inc.'s Ted can be seen in Inside Out. However, they do not belong to a full monster, as they appear as a giant prop between the stages of the Dream production studio. Did you notice that in the movie Finding Nemo, when Nemo is captured by divers and taken to the aquarium of a dentist's office, we can see a small coffee table where there is a Monsters Inc. book, which was released 2 years later. In the corner of the office, there is a toy chest where you can see a Buzz Lightyear doll, the toy airplane, and a spinning top that appears at the beginning of the movie Monsters Incorporated. In addition, the mini Mike Wazowski is also in the trunk. On one of the office's furniture, there is a photo of a city called Emeryville, which is exactly where Pixar's headquarters are located. And on the other side, there is a drawing of a doll that is the same one that appears in Boo's room from the movie Monsters Inc. Still in the office, if you notice these fish that are there, you will be able to see that they are the same fish that Sully tries to throw away through the toilet. In addition, we can see a butterfly design, which also appears in the office. In this scene, we can see a clear reference to the same scene from the film The Shining.
There's Brucey! There's Johnny!
When the fish carry out their plan to escape and enter a bag of water towards the ocean, they pass through the city street and we quickly see the famous Pixar car, the Pizza Planet car. When Marlin and Dory are swallowed by the whale, the movement that the whale makes with its own tongue references the scene from the movie Titanic. Marlin and Dory arrive at the office where Nemo was with the help of a pelican, and in this scene we can see a boy with a magazine that appears to be from the film The Incredibles, which was released sometime later. At the end of the film, we can see a yellow car passing by somewhat unnoticed, but a few years later the film Cars was released and we know that this yellow car that passed by is actually Luigi. In the film's credits, we can see a special appearance by the character Mike Wazowski from the film Monsters Inc. Did you notice that right at the beginning of the film we can see Marlin say this here?
You know what? If I ever meet a sea turtle, I'll ask him. After I'm done talking to the shark, okay?
He literally ends up doing both during the film to look for Nemo.